Chapter 27 Counterattack. Following the coordinated attacks on Lunsaro and central logistics hubs of the Selenese Queendom, Umbro reviewed the damage, formulating a counteroffensive. But with the quickness of the regional defense forces and the reforms under Queen Ariana's short rule, little damage was actually done and accomplished on behalf of the Confederacy. Though they may have targeted key hubs for the Selenese Queendom's logistics, the Confederate forces failed to do any severe damage. And although the Zulshuran Treaty that ended the Selenese Cold War may have decentralized the Selenese military and resources in an attempt to disable the Selenese from creating a coordinated threat against Zulshura ever again, it seemed to have backfired against the Confederacy. Rather than destroy central points of key importance, the Confederacy merely destroyed only a few of many redundant systems. In seeing the report, Umbriel thought to himself, "Though you thought I would just let the Queendom I swore to protect be taken over so easily, I anticipated many of your actions and have thwarted them accordingly. Now you have shown your hand and made a fatal mistake. For now it is no longer a war of ideas and affects some far-off tyrant, but now affects everyone personally. Now you have given me the political ammunition I need to rebuild the imperial military, and show you will never be able to create anarchy again. You may have gained this small victory, but this small victory has enlightened me to your true intentions and capabilities, in which I am well equipped to destroy." Furry Squadron. As soon as the prison guards escorted Natalia, James Wolfe, and the two other members of Furry Squadron, the base commander said, "Furry Squadron, or whatever the hell your species is. This is not an excuse to escape your deserved execution, but an opportunity to die with dignity. From now on you will be entered to fly and kill Confederates on suicide missions or spend the rest of your days in solitary. For now, pick your planes out of the communist-era junk, because that's all you convicts deserve, especially you, Ringtail. That way we don't have to give a fuck whether you or the plane comes back, while clearing out this junkyard. But I hear one of you is an ace, and for that, you'll only get a slightly better trash plane so we can at least get a little more use out of you." The Selenese soldiers then escorted Furry Squadron to their planes as the commanding officer said, "Wolf, your call sign's Beta and you'll be flying the Black Cat. And you, Ringtail, you'll be called Coon. And as the only ace here, you'll get the chance to fly something that's not a commie plane. You're flying your clan's own TCI'd Foxhound, while we happen to have a few lying around. And if any of you get shot down, consider the tolling for your crimes. And it's necessary to inform you, some modifications have been made to your planes, to ensure none of you attempt to flee. We have removed the life support systems, so you only have the oxygen that is in your flight suit's air tank. You will also not be equipped with ejector seats, and will be able to shut down your weapons remotely. And if you attempt to flee, and you don't run out of air first, we'll send interceptors to shoot you down. Understood?" James then growled in agreement. The commander then said, "Since you've all been impressed into the Imperial military, you'll do as I say. Your first mission is to target Confederate convoy moving through the mountains towards Amazonia. Expect to get shot at by better pilots and better planes. But your primary target in the convoy are supply vehicles. Destroy those in the convoy can progress through the mountains towards Amazonia. To complete your missions, your planes have been equipped with air-to-surface missiles, as well as heat seekers in case any of you get into a dogfight. The only one here who will be primarily covering your airside from the Confederate fighters is Coon. Let's just hope she lives up to her reputation as a queen killer in her Raccoon Clan's own aircraft. Now everyone, planes, now." Frozen Wasteland. While trekking through the Amazonian tundra, everyone started feeling the effects of hunger, as some of the rural guards were eyeing Tatsu, saying, "How much meat do you think is on that dragon?" Another member of the rural guard then asked, "Why not just drink that thing's milk?" "I'm not at that point yet. I'd rather eat the meat off of it." "You know most dragon meat is poisonous, right? You don't even know if that dragon is edible." Still, it was very disturbing to see the queen drink that thing's milk. "I guess it goes to show dragons are useful for things other than terrorizing villages. But if that dragon's meat is edible, what part do you think would taste best?" "I'd go with the backstrap or the porterhouse. That's the cut of meat the queen beef eats." "I don't know if that dragon has a backstrap or a porterhouse given it's bipedal." Hagrid then overheard the guards and said, No one is eating my companion. One of the royal guards then said, It was just a joke. Chill out already. Like hell it was a joke. You've been doing nothing but talking about how you'd eat my companion all day. Hey, if you're not the only one stranded and hungry out here. Queen Ariana then stepped in and said, All of you, enough! If we need food, how about we hunt something or drink dragon milk? Besides, Titania here can use vegetation manipulation magic. If any of you have some pure spare seeds, hand them to her and she can make something edible to eat. One of the guards then laughed and handed Titania his half-eaten apple core, and sarcastically said to Queen Ariana, Sure, I'd like to see how this turns out. Titania then ignored the royal guards laughing and concentrated on growing the seeds with her magical energy. And when she was done, there were plenty of apples on the tree ripe for picking. The royal guardsman then stopped laughing and said, Well, wouldn't you know, I guess nymphs aren't the only ones with plant manipulation. Thanks for something to eat besides Tatsu. Titania then didn't say anything in response, finally having something to eat besides dragon milk. Captain Cyrus then said now that he had a full stomach and energy boost from lightning dragon milk. Now that we know where we are, we don't have much further north to go. It'll most likely be 2 days. Finnegan. While preparing for their next sortie, the Confederate officer said to Yako Squadron, For your next sortie, you'll be testing your aircraft's air-to-air capabilities against comparable aircraft. Most notably, you'll be going against the Amazonian Air Force's Tanuki clan TCI Foxhounds, and possibly TCI Interceptors. Your task in this sortie is to target TCI Foxhounds and destroy as many as possible. These, along with Amazonia's swarm of communist era attack aircraft, will be the primary threat to our invasion force into Amazonia. As such, in order to ensure your squadron as well as others are fully equipped, we have a carrier strike group in the North Amazonian Sea for resupply. Now, review the mission data and prepare for your sortie. After reviewing the data, Yako's squadron got in their planes and made their way for Amazonia. Meanwhile, Finnegan and his fellow protogen Bill/Agent Wyoming were there in stolen TCI interceptors on their way to regroup with the other American forces retreating to Amazonia. And while in the air, Finnegan said, Good thing we destroyed those nukes before the Confederacy could get their hands on them, or this would have been way worse. Bill then said, Tell me about it, Foxboy. Even without nukes, we still don't have the logistics to fight the Confederacy, and that's why the General is ordering us to retreat to Amazonia and regroup. And until the Confederacy is defeated, we don't have any access to any spaceports to get back to America. It also doesn't help that the Confederacy literally targeted our communications, so now we can't even call in reinforcements, and had to abandon our night stalkers and equipment with no time to destroy it. But luckily, we escaped the Confederate prison camp as we are. I guess we're really on our own then. Say, can your protogen tech detect if there's any agents of the 50 States program still alive in their whereabouts? Give me a minute. Bill then uses protogen augmentation to do a search to communications and databases. Bill then said, Found 2 pinged alive in Amazonia, Nebraska and Iowa. Finnegan then said, If what those Confederates said was true about invading Amazonia, we need to make our way there right now. I'm not losing Buck or Natalia. Caring about Tanukis? I guess you're not like your old master Inari. Why the hell would I be? I don't know, just curious if you still had an attachment to the clan. Perhaps I did in the past, but not anymore. Not for seeing what it has become. What about Fennec? You still in contact with him? Only partially. Yet for as much as I try to show him the truth of what the clan has become, he refuses to see it. Not sure if I can really help him anymore. I burned my allegiance to Inari when she banished me from the clan for daring to care about those less fortunate than myself, and follow her in her brother's footsteps. And in all honesty, he should rule the clan instead of her. But I can sympathize with the reasons why he chose not to. After all this is over, have you ever considered the possibility of going back just to see what life is like in the old country? Not until Inari no longer rules the clan. Perhaps that would be a lot sooner if Zenko didn't leave as well. And it seems like Inari will probably rule for another 100 years. Then again, Zenko was kind of an airhead and not a magical prodigy like Inari, nor a political mastermind. If anything, Zenko's probably the only one in Inari's family that seems somewhat normal. And like everyone liked her because she was such a cinnamon roll. Yeah, Buck talked about his neighbor Zenko and how she's basically his sibling's adopted mother, treating them in manners and how to be good people. Said he might even call her mommy if she wasn't 800 years old, while his little brother calls her a medieval boomer as a friendly tease. Funny enough, I'm old enough to remember how calling old people boomer started. It was a weird time being exiled to Earth in the 2010s, where my punishment was to be the test subject in a teleporter experiment using supposedly artificial ethereal magic. But I got to say, it was a great vacation even if I had to pretend to be human for a while, so I could get legal status. But please don't get me started on what happened at a furry convention where some dude wanted to gif. But just because I'm a pretty photogenic guy doesn't mean I'm into dudes. I normally just went to furry conventions so I could be my normal Kitsune body without illusion magic. But that guy totally ruined it that year. I totally understand that. At least Buck is a normal furry and doesn't go into gif. By the way, doesn't the Kitsune have a month dedicated to their yearly mating cycle called Yifmas? Yes, let's not get into that. Let's just focus on finding Buck and Natalia and get them back to America. Finnegan and Bill then reached the location where Natalia and Buck were last pinged as they spotted Fort Kitsune planes. Finnegan then asked Bill, "Any information why planes bearing the Inari emblem would be flying around? This is not like the Kitsune clan to take part in someone else's war." Bill then answered, "Nothing. We should try to contact them. Maybe they're lost, because like you said, the Kitsune clan is a neutral country." Finnegan then radioed Yako Squadron on an open channel and asked, "Hey, Kitsune pilots, can you hear me?" Souza and Yako then answered over the radio. "Finnegan, why are you here? Tell me and I won't engage you outside the clan." "Well, if it isn't Inari's guard dog, Yako." "I said, why are you here?" "If you really want to know, I'm here looking to save some friends." "Then why are you flying a Tanuki plane instead of an American one?" "It's because my American base got raided by the Confederacy and I have to steal one of their planes along with my partner to get out of there alive. So why are you here?" "It's classified. You may as well find your friends and get on your way. Remember, we never saw each other." Fennec then heard Yako mention his cousin's name and said over the radio, "Finnegan? It's been so long since I've heard from you. I hope you've gotten the stuff I sent you in the mail." Finnegan then said, "I have been, and it's good to hear from my cousin again. So, I've been meaning to ask, why exactly did Inari exile you?" Yako then said, "We're ending this conversation before it starts. I suggest you do the same, Finnegan." Finnegan then said, "Geez, you're not my dad." "I'm old enough to be. I also outrank you because I have more tails." Like that means anything outside the Kitsune clan. Still, 8 is more than 7. "Then why serve Inari when you outrank her?" Furusian then laughed over the comm. "This kid is joking, right? No wonder you got kicked out." Yako then said, "Furusian, be quiet." Glacia then said, "I don't think that was a joke. Am I seriously the only person here who suspects some of Inari's tales are fake?" Furusian then commanded, "Shut up, Kami. You just got exiled, more your sentence." "For the last time, I'm not a communist. I just believe in generosity." Yako then interjected, "You can save this conversation for later. Now, remember, Finnegan, we never saw each other." Yako's squadron then split off going their own way as Fennec asked, "What was all that about? We never saw each other." Yako then said, "I'll tell you later. But long story short, Inari told me what to do if he ever comes back." Air raid. While approaching the Confederate convoy, preparing to engage, James Wolfe asked over the comms, "So, you're an ace. So am I. I wonder who will confirm more kills." Natalia then remained silent as James continued, "I guess you're the strong silent type. Still, I'm curious to see what you're capable of if any Kitsune craft show up. But now that we're about over the target, weapons free." Natalia then gained altitude as her squad members started raining missiles and bombs on the Confederate convoy below. Natalia then detected incoming Kitsune aircraft on radar and radioed to James, "Beta, we got 4 bandits and 2 bogies coming our way. Baron 200. Looks like Confederate fighters." Alicia then checked her own radar and said to the rest of Yako's squadron, "I'm detecting 1 black cat, 1 foxhound, and the rest are Kami planes." Furusian then said, Nothing too serious. Save your magical energy for some enemies that can actually put up a fight. Yako then said, You know what that means. Ferucion, engage that black cat. Fennec and Glacia, target those attack planes. I'll handle the foxhound. Bill was then spying in on Yako's squadron's communications with his protogen augmentation and said, Yako, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Do you really want to start a war between your little clan and an entire empire? I suggest you call off this engagement and return home. Yako then proceeded to engage Natalia as Natalia barrel rolled, causing Yako to fly right by. Natalia then recognized Yako as the same protogen Kitsune that impersonated her voice and shot down the Concordia, and immediately engaged him. Natalia then thought to herself, This is for Buck and everyone I loved. You'll pay with your life for theirs. But no matter what Natalia did, she could only keep evading Yako for so long, unable to get into a good position. Eventually her countermeasures would run out, and that's when she said over the comms, Beta, get this guy off me. Yako then moved into his position to fire a guaranteed kill on Natalia as he said, Time to remove another of Inari's ring-tailed enemies. But before Yako could take the shot, James Wolfe said over the comms, Can't let you do that, Protogen Fox, before firing a heat seeker right into Yako's engine. But after taking a direct hit, he merely took evasive maneuvers, with the missile only overheating his energy shield. Finnegan and Bill then started to engage Yako once Bill heard Natalia's voice as the Foxhound pilot. But no matter what Bill, Finnegan, James, or Natalia did, all their weapons failed to hit Yako's plane, even after Finnegan used a magic suppression missile to weaken Yako's K-drive. But even with the K-drive weakened, he still had enough Kitsune magic, unsuppressed with the power of his 8 tails, that he could outperform the 4 ace pilots chasing him. Glacia then said over the comms to Yako, We've used all our weapons to destroy as many attack planes and foxhounds as possible. Returning to base. Yako then said, Understood. Mission accomplished, before evading enough of Furry Squadron's attacks and fleeing the battle without taking a scratch. James then chuckled in with everyone over the comms after using the rest of his weapons to attack the Confederate convoy. James then said, Looks like it's just me and you that's left. Those foxes killed the rest of our squad. This really was a suicide mission. Finnegan then asked, What about us? We came looking for our friend and now we found her. And then we saved you from those Kitsune and better planes. I guess you're friendly then. Unless you have orders telling you otherwise. Follow me back to base for debriefing. And despite not shooting down any of those foxes, I still think Kuhn did a great job distracting that protogen long enough for me to land a hit. That's Natalia, one of the friends we're looking for. Tell me about it. We've met before. Intrigue. When Yako returned to the Kitsune clan with his debriefing after the fact, Inari motioned him to sit with her in her private chambers and asked, I heard you ran into an old colleague of yours. Care to elaborate? Yako then said, It was Finnegan. Said he was looking for some lost friends only for me to find out one of them is a Tanuki, and serving on the side of the Celanese Empire. And for someone in an inferior plane, she sure put up a decent fight. And I probably would have shot her down if Finnegan didn't engage me along with 2 other aces. Does this mean Finnegan has graduated from merely going against our cultural values to performing acts of violence against the clan's members? It appears so. I told him if he stayed out of this, I would not engage him. It would be as if we never met. But then he engaged me to save that Tanuki. Indeed. But now I am curious. What is so special about this Tanuki that a 7-tailed Kitsune of high standing within the United States 50 States program would protect her? I don't know, Master. I just know she sure put up a tougher fight in that foxhound than an ordinary Tanuki pilot. And I've learned not to completely rely on the K-drive, because now I know those new Tanuki clan TCI interceptors are capable of firing magic suppression missiles. And if I had not my skills and instruments to back me up, there's no way I could have survived that engagement with those pilots. If anyone but myself had engaged that Tanuki, she probably would have shot them down in an inferior aircraft. Then it appears the flight instructors need to teach the new pilots to have a full range of skills and not completely rely on the K-drive. But apart from the Tanuki you encountered, who were the others? You said there were 2 other aces. The one flying the black cat, from his voice I could tell. He was an Inu, and one of the aces from the mercenary group Lupus. The other one was likely a protogen, and was for sure an agent of the 50 States program for the magically gifted. Then avoid engagement with the protogen and Finnegan if you can. We don't need a war with an interstellar hyperpower. But that Tanuki is fair game along with that mercenary if you ever run into them again. And I have confidence in your abilities to fulfill your duties as my servant. Yako then prostrated himself before Inari and said, "Yes, my master." Reunion. After returning to the Amazonian airbase, the base commander said, "You two must have loaded dice in your corner with those foxes made everyone else in your squad atone for their crimes. How the hell did you survive?" Finnegan then interrupted. "It's called tactics. Just what do you think you're doing forcing my partners to go on suicide missions?" The base commander then said, "I'm making Ringtail here atone for her crime of killing the queen. Fire the heatseeker right into the Concordia's engine." "Have you considered checking the flight input data on her Night Stalker to see if she actually did it and wasn't one of those Kitsune mercenaries?" "What does it matter? Everyone saw the missile fire from her plane with her voice. Besides, someone needs to take the blame for the queen's murder, and she's most likely culprit. Not some made-up Kitsune magic." Finnegan then used his illusion magic to mimic Natalia's voice perfectly, making himself look like Natalia. "Oh really? Last time I checked, I can use illusion magic to mimic anyone's voice, and it wouldn't be very easy over a low-fidelity comm system." Finnegan then transformed back into his Kitsune form with the base commander unfazed. "It still doesn't change the fact that Kun is going to atone for the crime." Finnegan then twitched his fox ears and said, "What you're doing is a blatant war crime." The base commander then said, "Who cares? The Confederacy has no qualms about them, and neither should we. If you want to defend her that badly, join the suicide squad and prepare for your next sortie."